Helen from Heritage Garden Seeds, and today we're going to sow the Cauliflower All Year Round seeds that were in our October subscription box. So as the name suggests, this is a really good all-rounder that can be sown in most seasons. So it's autumn now, we're mid-October, so we're going to sow some now and then we can sow some more from late winter to late spring. So let's get sowing. So as it's autumn, we're going to sow our cauliflower seeds under cover. So I'm going to sow mine in these modular trays. So I've just filled them with compost already. You can also use small trays if you prefer. If you're going to sow in trays, then just scatter your seeds lightly onto the surface of the compost and then cover with a thin layer of compost. And if you're going to sow in 2 modules like me, we're going to fill the modules with the compost, make a little dimple into each cell. And then we're just going to sow a couple of seeds per cell. So by sowing a couple of seeds per cell, it just means that once the seeds germinate, we can remove the weakest seedling and just focus on the strongest one. And then we're just going to cover those seeds with a light layer of compost. So we're just going to give those a light water, and then I'm going to pop this module tray into an unheated greenhouse. So like I say, these are going to go into an unheated greenhouse where if the temperature is around 10 to 15 degrees, they should germinate within a few weeks. So once those seedlings emerge, we're going to remove the weakest seedling from each of these cells. If you are growing in trays, then wait till your seedlings have developed a set of true leaves, and then you want to carefully prick those out and transplant them into larger modules or into small pots. These are reasonably large modules, so I'm going to allow my seedlings to grow on in here for a little bit, and that's another reason why I do like to sow in modules, because it just saves me time having to prick them out in the future. Obviously I'm just going to keep an eye on these, and if the plants start to get too big for the modules, I will then transplant them into larger pots. So we're going to keep our cauliflower seedlings in the greenhouse over winter, and they can develop a nice healthy strong root system. So we just want to make sure that they are kept watered over the winter months. And then your young plants should be ready to transplant into their final growing positions from spring to early summer. So when we're ready to plant them out, we want to make sure that our growing area is weed free. We're going to plant our plants around 45 centimetres apart. So obviously our plants have been growing nicely in the greenhouse over winter, so before we do anything we want to make sure that we're hardening those seedlings off. Just get them used to the outside temperatures, to the wind, to the elements, because they've just been safely topped up all winter. And when you plant them into the ground, you want to plant them deep enough so that the first set of leaves are just above the soil, and then you want to really firm those in. Obviously as the plants grow, you want to make sure your growing area is weed free and keep the plants well watered. And you will need to cover your plants with some netting to protect them from the cabbage white butterflies and of course the pigeons. And then we can harvest our delicious cauliflowers from mid-spring right through to autumn when the heads are tight, firm and pure white. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me. The email address is hello@heritagegardenseeds.com, or you can reach out to me on Instagram, which is usually the best place, and the Instagram handle is @heritagegardenseeds.